So, and here's what's so fascinating. Even though it's one-sided, the brain treats it like a real relationship. Neurologically, we don't distinguish between somebody on a screen looking at us and someone sitting in front of us looking at us.
Welcome to the Propel Podcast, inspiration and innovation to grow your church. I'm your host, Larry Witzel. If God has given you big dreams for growing His kingdom, then this is the podcast for you. Our goal is to offer practical training for effective evangelism in the Seventh-day Adventist ministry context, but the principles we talk about are applicable in many other situations as well. So wherever you're doing ministry, welcome to the Propel Podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave us a review on whatever platform you're using. And if you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share this with your ministry colleagues as well. Your support really helps our mission to inspire and innovate church growth. Today's episode has another one of those awkward introductions because it features a presentation from me. I'm Larry Witzel, founder and president of Sermon View and also the director of the Propel Conference. Just last May, I earned my PhD in strategic media from Liberty University, where I focused my dissertation on parasocial relationships and digital evangelism. My passion lives at the intersection of technology, marketing, and ministry. At Sermon View, for over 20 years now, we've helped churches connect with their communities through digital evangelism. Over the years, we've managed more than 7,500 marketing campaigns for over 2,500 churches across North America. And frankly, I'm really proud of what the Sermon View crew has accomplished together over the years and what they're continuing to do today. In this presentation, I highlight the urgent need for churches to adapt to this digital age through a strategy that I call parasocial evangelism. I explain the limitations of traditional outreach and offer practical tips for building one-sided relationships using social media, what we call parasocial relationships. By creating engaging short-form videos, we can foster trust and connection that lead to in-person discipleship. We'll get to the presentation in just a moment. First, though, I want to thank the sponsor of this episode, Adventist Learning Community. Their mission is to empower people with the passion and skills necessary to further the kingdom of Christ in the 21st century. The Adventist Learning Community is a ministerial and educational platform designed to strengthen professionals through continuing education courses, teaching courses, ministerial training, and dissemination of uniquely Adventist content for the church community and beyond. You can explore their platform at AdventistLearningCommunity.com to enhance your ministry and connect with a vibrant community of learners dedicated to advancing the kingdom of God. You can learn more at AdventistLearningCommunity.com. Okay, here then is my Monday morning breakout track from the 2025 Propel Conference with the topic, Building Relationships Through Social Media Video.
So the world has changed. The average American today spends almost half their waking hours in the digital space. Yet many of our churches remain analog islands in a sea of digital. And when Jesus said to go into all the world, I believe that He meant to go into the digital world as well. We need to go where the people are, and half the time they're online. Today, we're going to be talking about a new form of digital outreach, what I call parasocial evangelism. So I just finished my PhD, and this is from my dissertation. My goal is to take academic gobbledygook and try to make it accessible for you guys who are doing frontline ministry. So please bear with me if it comes across like I'm overcomplicating it. Believe me, this is the simplified version. And underneath the theory that we're going to be talking about is something that I believe is deeply practical and deeply powerful for ministry. So let's talk about where we're going to be going in this presentation. We're going to talk about the evangelistic dilemma. We're going to why both proclamational and relational evangelism is struggling today. I want to talk a little bit about the digital transformation of society and what that means for us as the church. I want to talk about what a parasocial relationship is and why it matters to us for outreach. And then I want to talk about the communication model that I developed called parasocial evangelism. We're going to talk about how to cultivate these relationships online and then how to harvest these relationships for evangelism. And then we're going to talk about some practical things, short form video. We're going to talk about what kind of content to produce, how to record it, workflows for doing it sustainably. And then finally, I want to tell you about Real Faith, which is a sermon view service that helps you get started with short form video content on social media. So that's where we're headed. I didn't actually test the video. We're about to find out. Let me, specifically, we're going to be talking about short form videos for social media. So I want to show you an example of what I mean. Let's see. This is a video from my friend Alex Portillo. He's actually doing a presentation tomorrow afternoon where he's going to be talking about how he does this kind of stuff. But this is an example of the type of video that I'm talking about. Here we go.
In Psalm chapter 12, the poet says that the wicked speak with flattering lips and beleb va beleb, which is difficult to translate, but roughly translates to with a heart and heart. And many English translations render it as double heart. In Hebrew conception, the heart is the seat of the mind. So to be double-hearted is to know one thing, but to say another. In this case, they know the truth, but they flatter and lie instead to accomplish their goals. And this is contrasted to God's words, which are like refined silver. Hence, the safety of those who are assaulted by evil speech is not to return evil speech, but confidence in God's word.
All right. So that's an example of the type of content that I'm going to be suggesting is something that every one of you should be doing on a regular basis. And I'm going to talk about why, and then I'm going to talk about how. Make it as simple as possible for you. So before we dive in, I want to be crystal clear about the goals for evangelism. We're going to be talking about building the illusion of a relationship with people on social media using short form video like that. It's what scholars call parasocial relationships. But that's not the end goal. That's just an intermediate step. We're not trying to build a digital church. We're not trying to build a cyber church. We're not trying to build an online church. Once these relationships have been cultivated, we want to transition them into in-person connection because our evangelistic process is not done until we see a fully devoted disciple of Jesus who's engaged in the life of your local church, a disciple who's making other disciples. That's the goal, right? So I'm going to be talking about a lot about this intermediate step, but please keep in mind, it's only the first step in the discipleship making process, but it's a step that is currently missing in many of our evangelistic efforts. So let's talk about the evangelistic dilemma. For most of the last 100 years, even longer than that, churches have relied on two main methods of outreach: proclamational evangelism, which is where we gather a crowd or we go to where a crowd is and then we preach the gospel, and relational evangelism. This is where we build trust one-on-one and then journey with people over time. Both of these models are biblical. Jesus preached to the crowds on the mountain, and he also talked to Nicodemus one-on-one. He had one-on-one relationships with his disciples. The early church did both. Public proclamation with Peter at the temple on the day of Pentecost, and going from house to house and teaching what Jesus taught. In the modern church, these two methods went hand in hand, and they were considered two sides of the same coin. But then in the 1950s, the broader church began to separate these. And here's the problem that we're facing today. Neither method is working the way that it used to. Let's start with proclamational evangelism. We're seeing lower turnout for public meetings. It's harder to draw a crowd. You used to be able to send out a mailing and you'd get, 4 or 5 or 6 for every 1,000 handbills that you would send out, so you could send out 50,000 handbills and literally fill an entire, 300, 400 people in the building. Today, that doesn't work the way that it used to. Culturally, there's a growing skepticism toward anything that looks like a pitch or a performance. And even when people do come, many struggle to come to a long series of nightly meetings. We've all heard the critiques. It's too long. It's irrelevant. It's outdated. At the same time, relational evangelism is also hitting roadblocks. People are more isolated today than ever. Social anxiety is up, especially among millennials and Gen Z. People are not looking for new relationships with strangers. In fact, a lot of people are actively avoiding them. So we're left with this dilemma. The event-driven model isn't drawing crowds the way that it used to. And the relationship-driven model requires access to people that we no longer have. And so I know what some of you are thinking, Larry, we're still doing both. And we're still preaching. We're still reaching people one-on-one. And I'm not saying that we're not. And I'm not saying that we should stop doing that, because if you can connect with somebody one-on-one, that's always going to be better than what I'm talking about. But we need something in between, because there are, especially among millennials and Gen Z, there are people that would never set foot in a church building, not because they're hostile to religion, but because they are not going someplace where they don't know anybody. Not going to happen. And these same people will go to work, they'll go to school, but they will not interact unless they absolutely have to. And you're just not going to have a friendly conversation with these people. They're just not going to. But then they're going to go home and they're going to spend time in the digital space, and we can reach them there. And that's what has led me to study parasocial relationships. This is not the goal. This third category, this illusion of a relationship that people develop with media figures, it turns out that this is a really effective on-ramp to both proclamational and relational evangelism. It's not a replacement. It opens the door to these other evangelistic methods. So to understand why this moment matters, we need to look at the digital transformation of society. Let me paint a picture. In 2024, 97% of Americans use the internet regularly. Over 72% use at least one social media platform every month. And the number is ridiculous. It's like 40% spend an average of 2 hours every day on social media. The average American adult spends 7 hours a day online. That works out to be 48% of their waking hours on average. That's almost half of their conscious life is spent in the digital space. Think about it. We used to knock on doors, and now people won't even answer the phone if they don't recognize the phone number. Like Gen Z, doesn't just not know how to ring a doorbell. There's something pathologically, they're opposed to ringing the doorbell. When my daughter's friends would come over, I would just hear the door open because they would text Zoe, "I'm here," and she'd say, "Come in," and then they would, come in. There's no ringing the doorbell. And yet these same people will spend 2 hours a day on YouTube. We're living in a digitally mediated society. People form opinions, they discover truth, they build trust in digital spaces long before they will enter a physical space. And if the church isn't there, someone else will be. It's already happening. We need to be where the people are. And here's where it gets really serious. We're not talking about attention spans and entertainment choices alone. We're talking about identity formation, especially among younger generations. Gen Z, these are people born between 1995 and 2012. They're digital natives. They don't know what life is like without a digital device. They didn't adapt to this world. They were born into it. And they're facing a mental health crisis unlike anything that we've ever seen. Since 2010, anxiety among college students has jumped 134%. Almost 2.5 times as many people have diagnosed anxiety, social anxiety, as in 2010. A 2024 study showed that 44% of teens feel anxious without their phones. 44% feel anxious without their phones. And 39% feel lonely when they're disconnected from the digital space. Why does this matter for evangelism? Because social anxiety makes people less likely to engage face-to-face with someone that they don't know. It means that your invitation to a Bible study, your community cookout, even your friendly wave on the sidewalk might not get through. But here's what they will do. They'll watch somebody talk to them through a screen. They'll follow your church's content without ever clicking like. They'll listen to you week after week without ever responding to it, quietly building a trust in what you're saying. And that's the power. That's the reality of today's digital landscape. And that's why we have to shift how we think about outreach, because in a world that's anxious and isolated and deeply online, digital presence isn't optional, it's missional. We have to be doing this, guys. The field is ripe. We just need to step into it. All right, so let's talk about this concept of parasocial relationships. I don't like that it's called parasocial because people confuse it with paranormal, okay? This is, and in some ways, paranormal is more normal than parasocial, frankly. But this idea of a parasocial relationship is the illusion of a relationship with somebody in the media. It's a one-sided emotional connection, but it leads to an emotional reaction that's surprisingly similar to in-person social connection. Think of it like this. You never met them, but they feel like a friend. You know their voice. You recognize their mannerisms. You trust them. But you've never actually ever had a conversation with them. That's a parasocial relationship. And it's everywhere. That podcast that you listen to every week, you have a parasocial relationship with that person. That YouTuber who reviews tech gear or talks about the Bible with the cat on their lap, you have a parasocial relationship with them. That pastor on Instagram who always seems to post the right words at the right time, you don't actually know them. You don't have a real relationship with them, but it kind of feels like you do. And that feeling, that illusion of a relationship is what communication scholars call a parasocial relationship. This was first identified in the early days of television back in the 1950s. But in the last 15 years, with the rise of social media influencers, there's been an explosion of academic research on this. There were like 40 studies in the first 4 decades on parasocial relationships. Last year, there were over 400 academic studies on this because it is so present, it is so powerful, and it is so pervasive in today's society. So, and here's what's so fascinating. Even though it's one-sided, the brain treats it like a real relationship. Neurologically, we don't distinguish between somebody on a screen looking at us and someone sitting in front of us looking at us. So when we watch somebody consistently over time in a personal and authentic way, our brain starts to say, this person matters to me. And that's why parasocial relationships are so powerful. So for us as church leaders, this opens a major opportunity because in a world where fewer people are attending church in person, but more people are watching spiritual content online, we can become that trusted voice before we ever meet them in person. Parasocial connection isn't about faking relationships. It's about opening doors to new relationships. It's the digital equivalent of somebody standing in the back row of your church for 3 weeks in a row before finally saying hello to somebody in the lobby. Have you guys experienced this? Somebody like sneaks in and they sit in the back row and then they leave before you can get to them and you start recognizing them. And they might do this for weeks before you actually can ever catch them and have a conversation with them. This isn't just a digitally mediated thing. They're actually building a parasocial relationship with the pastor because there's not the reciprocated. It's not a two-way. It's still a one-sided relationship. What I'm talking about is doing this digitally. It's a step toward trust. For people who are anxious, unchurched, or spiritually curious, it might be the only step that they're willing to take. So what do we do with that? That's where parasocial evangelism comes in. Now that we understand what a parasocial relationship is, actually, let me just make sure. You guys understand what I'm talking about? Parasocial relationships. All right. This is crucial. So let me introduce you to the concept at the heart of this entire talk. This is called parasocial evangelism. Actually, we talked about this like a year and a half ago, didn't we? I had just started thinking about it. So parasocial evangelism, here's the big idea. We can intentionally cultivate parasocial relationships through social media video specifically, and then we can harvest these relationships for evangelistic purposes. That's what I call parasocial evangelism. This isn't about going viral. This isn't about getting 100 million followers. It's not about follower counts at all, or platform growth or monetization. That's not what this is about at all. It's simply about creating meaningful spiritual connection at scale with people who are not yet ready for in-person discipleship. And here's where this really diverges from the secular model. Social media influencers cultivate parasocial relationships in order to monetize those relationships. They want you to buy the merch, join Patreon, click that affiliate link. But as pastors and ministry leaders, we have a different goal. We're not trying to make money with social media. We're not trying to monetize. We're trying to make disciples. And that's the goal. So we use the same digital relationship tools as social media influencers, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But instead of harvesting these for a profit, we're harvesting them by inviting people to take the next spiritual step. Every person in this room has a next step that God is calling you into. No matter where you're at in your faith journey, there's always a next step. And this is an opportunity to connect with people parasocially and invite them to take the next step, whatever God has for them. So instead of harvesting these relationships for profit, we're harvesting them to invite people into a spiritual next step. That could be a free Bible study offer, a digital prayer request form, an invitation to a live stream, or best of all, you can just invite them to meet you in person at your church. And what I discovered in my research is that these relationships can be incredibly powerful. People who watch your content, even if you don't know them, can develop enough trust to let you speak into their lives. I had one pastor tell me that he was out getting a haircut and the guy in the chair next to him just kept looking at him, just kind of staring at him. And then finally he said, "Hey, have you been posting videos on YouTube?" And it became an opportunity to begin a spiritual conversation. That's the fruit of parasocial evangelism. It's not about celebrity. Although if you do this right, you will walk into the smoothie shop like another pastor that I know and have a guy said to him, "Hey, are you that YouTube Bible guy?" And it became an opportunity to have a spiritual connection. How many of you would die to have an 18-year-old kid come up to you and begin a conversation with you, knowing that you are a pastor, knowing that you're a church leader, knowing that you are a spiritual person? How many of you would just die to have somebody come up and begin a conversation with you? That's the power of this thing. It's not about celebrity, although that will happen. I just heard a guy a few weeks ago who's an expert in social media. He said that if a business owner will spend $100 a month on advertising, just talking to people in the community for 3 months, that person will become a celebrity, a little mini celebrity in their little local community. It doesn't take much. But it's not about celebrity. It's about access. You're building a connection through a screen that opens the door to something deeper. It's not the whole evangelistic process. But in today's culture, it may be the only viable first step for a growing number of people. And once that trust is built, that's when we get to move the relationship from digital to discipleship. All right. Does that make sense? You guys in? You ready to learn more about how to do this? So how do we go from being a stranger on a screen to a trusted voice in somebody's spiritual journey? So in my research, I identified 8 communication practices that consistently helped pastors build strong parasocial relationships with their audiences. They're the same techniques that secular social media influencers do. But again, our purpose is different. So here are the 8 essential tactics for cultivating parasocial relationships. First, post consistently. It's about presence. You can't build a relationship, parasocial or otherwise, without showing up regularly. You have to be present. When people see your face several times a week in their feed, it builds familiarity, and that familiarity is the first step toward trust. I'm not saying that you need to post every day, but I'm saying post consistently, at least once a week with no weeks off. Better yet, to accelerate the parasocial connection, post 2 or 3 or 4 times a week. Repetition is what creates recognition. Recognition is what creates trust. All right. So post consistently. It's way better for you to post every week for 6 weeks than to record 6 videos and drop them all in the same week and then disappear for 5 weeks. The consistency is the number one thing that cultivates parasocial relationships, being present. All right. Second, use what I'm realizing this is like a PhD phrase, direct address. Does anybody have any idea what that even means? Direct eye contact into the camera lens and talk to the person as if they're sitting in a chair right across from you. So, looking directly into the camera lens, talking like you're speaking to one person. So you say you, not everyone. Use a warm conversational tone, as if you're excitedly talking to a good friend. So instead of saying, we all struggle with discouragement, say, hey, you might be feeling discouraged right now. And if that's you, I want to speak to your heart for a moment. Talk to that person as if it's one person on the other side of the camera lens. And it's a subtle shift, but it's a huge shift. So number one, posting consistently, research shows that's the most important thing. And number 2, this direct address is huge. Side note, a lot of pastors in the broader church are doing preaching clips. So they'll record the sermon and then they'll take a 30-second or 45 or 60-second snippet from that and post it. But there's no direct eye contact. It's way more powerful to take that same content. If you're a pastor, take that same content from your sermon and then just record it looking into the camera. It's way more powerful to do it that way. So direct address. Okay. Number 3, post widely. So using the same script on multiple social media platforms is important. Now, you want your post to be tailored to the unique culture of each platform. Every platform is a little bit different. As you spend time on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, you're going to begin to see subtle differences in how people communicate with each other on each platform. And as you figure out these differences, then you can tailor your post to that platform. The most effective pastors in my study made subtle tweaks. It was the exact same script on all 4 of the major video platforms, the ones I just mentioned: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. But they would make subtle shifts to make it a little bit more powerful for the people in that community. Okay, but posting it widely, posting on at least pick 2 that are the people that you want to reach are actually using. And then just make sure that when you post on one, post on the other as well. The 4th one is adding value. Focus on creating content that speaks to the felt needs of the target audience. This is so crucial. And this is crucial whether you're doing an evangelistic series or preaching a sermon or whatever. Clear is better than clever. Okay, I'm talking to the preachers right now. Clear is better than clever. There may be times when you want to do something clever with your sermon title on a Sabbath morning because you're speaking to your congregation. But if you want to speak into the broader community, You got to be clear about what it is. So if you, I will derail if I go too far down this. Okay. Clear over clever. You need to identify, understand what the needs of the community are that people feel in your community, and then speak to those needs. And this content should be something that when somebody watches it, they go, yeah. And when they see multiple videos from you where they go, yeah, over time, when you pop up in their feed, they're going to be excited to hear what you have to say, but only if you're speaking to their needs, their felt needs. So creating content that speaks to those needs. So you want to share practical Bible knowledge that's applicable to daily life. It's about knowing your audience and speaking to their needs. I'm going to show you 3 more examples of some short form videos, and one in particular, you're gonna go, oh, that is speaking to some people. And one of these guys in my research, there was more than once where I'm like watching this and he was talking directly to me. It was really cool. So after seeing a video, you want them to think, well, that makes sense. I want to apply that to my own life experience. All right. So valuable content, add value. Number 5, offer self-disclosure. This is telling personal stories to help connect with your audience. It's about vulnerability. When you share your personal experiences, your doubts, your struggles, your awkward moments, you become more relatable. People don't bond with perfection. They bond with honesty. And in fact, one of the most surprising things that I found in my research was that even negative self-disclosure, talking about failures or pain, is more powerful at increasing trust and deepening the parasocial connection than neutral or positive self-disclosure. It's going to be better to talk about that time when you completely tripped up than to talk about how you always win at this. Because we learn more from failure. I mean, each one of us learns more from failure than we do from the wins. And so using that self-disclosure, telling stories, your own personal stories, sharing a moment when you felt weak, or a story where God met you in your mess. Your scars might be the very thing that helps someone else begin their healing. All right. Number 6, be authentic. This is about showing up in the same way every time, not scripted, not staged, being consistently real. Authenticity, one researcher said, authenticity is the currency of the digital age. People don't care if you stumble over a word or if your lighting isn't perfect. What they care about is whether you seem genuine. Be the same person on video that you are in the church lobby. Let them see the real you consistently, because that's how trust is built over time. So be authentic. Number 7, express positive feelings. This one is a little strange, and it might seem small, but it's huge. In my study, I noticed that secular influencers do this really well, where they will say things like, I'm so glad you're here, or thanks for spending time with me today. And some of them, it's like, I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for your support. This expression of positive feelings is something that really connects with people. But pastors, we sometimes forget to do this, especially Adventist pastors. It's a very cerebral approach to religion because it's about doctrine. But man, people need to feel affirmed. We're great at sharing content, but sometimes we miss the opportunity to express care directly to the viewer. So try saying things like, hey, I just want you to know I'm so proud of you.
That's right.
Now, here's the thing. You don't know them, but can you be genuinely proud of somebody who made it to the end of your video and is receiving what you said, how your words are going to change their life in a small little way, but they're going to influence. I'm so proud of you, the way that you've embraced Jesus in ways that you never imagined you could. Thanks for letting me speak into your life today. Hey, if no one's told you yet, I'm glad that you're here. These kinds of statements increase warmth. They build emotional connection. They reinforce the feeling that you care. not just about theology, but about them. And look, this is biblical. The Apostle Paul did this in a lot of his letters. For example, 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 4. I thank my God always concerning you for the grace of God, which was given to you by Christ Jesus. I thank God for you so much. This is one that none of the pastor influencers in my study did this. This is the one thing that was noticeably lacking that secular influencers do all the time. And one of the questions that I asked was, why is that? Why is it that the pastors didn't do this? And I think it's because we're afraid of coming off as phony or lying, outright lying. How can I say I love you if I don't even know you? But tell me, did God give you the power of his love in you to love this person, even if you don't know them? You are not lying. You are being genuine. It is true that you're proud of them. It's true that you care about them. It's true that you're glad that they're watching, that you have an opportunity to connect. So saying it is so important. All right. And then the last one is, and this is the last bullet on the slide, inviting the viewer to engage with the content on social media. So inviting them to do things like and subscribe and follow, share, comment. The resulting engagement from this type of behavior, from this call to action, it actually increases the strength of the parasocial bond, which actually makes it a cultivating behavior. Even though it's a call to action, which we're going to talk about in a second, inviting people, when somebody likes your video, there's some crazy studies. The more people engage with somebody's content, the stronger the parasocial bond. So inviting them to do something that everybody asks them to do, but doing it in a way where it's actually you inviting them. And if they have this parasocial connection with you, they're going to want to support you. They're going to want to do something. And then that leads to building the parasocial connection. So these are the 8 essential techniques for cultivating parasocial relationships. Post consistently, use direct address, post widely, add value, offer self-disclosure, be authentic, express positive feelings, and invite the viewers to engage with the content. So altogether, these 2 techniques create the foundation for trust, not just digital attention, but genuine relational openness. All right. I hear my dissertation chair yelping in my ear. I have to be clear. This is based on a wide body of research. I did not find this in my study specifically, but this is kind of a synthesis of what other academic researchers have done and what I saw in the pastor influencers. So I did not find this directly. I can't say that my study found this. All right. He's gone now, so I'm good. All right. Let's talk about now you have parasocial relationships with people in your community. Let's talk about how to harvest them. In the world of social media influencers, once you've cultivated that parasocial relationship, it's time to, this is literally the word that's used in the industry, it's time to exploit that relationship. Exploitation. They build parasocial relationships and then they exploit them for personal gain. They sell a product. They push a membership. They monetize your attention. In ministry, our mindset is completely different. We are not exploit the parasocial relationship. We don't exploit, we harvest. It's a very biblical concept. Jesus said the harvest is great, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his field. When we harvest a parasocial relationship, we're not seeking a profit. We're seeking transformation in the lives of those that are following us. We're inviting someone to take the next step in their spiritual journey. And that might look like clicking on a link to request Bible studies. It might be inviting people to register for a live event or some in-person gathering, inviting people to reach out for prayer or conversation, or ultimately inviting people to walk through your doors, your church doors for the very first time. And here's why it's beautiful. By the time they come, they already know you. They've heard your voice. They've seen your eyes. They've listened to your stories. That relationship may be one-sided, but it is very real to the person who has it. And they trust, the trust that they feel in you is very real. All right. I already mentioned this story. Let me give you a real example. Dr. Hiram Rester spoke at last year's Propel conference. He's a pastor in Columbus, Missouri. He posts short form video content regularly on social media. One day he goes into a smoothie shop, 18-year-old kid behind the counter. He just lights up when he sees Hiram. Hey, are you that YouTube Bible guy? And he asked to take a photo together. He came around the corner, can I get a picture with you? And it became an opening to have a spiritual conversation. He'd been watching for months, no comments, no likes, no DMs, but he had been listening. That relationship, that parasocial relationship had been cultivating. And when they met, he felt like he already knew Hiram. And it led to a spiritual connection. That's what I mean by harvesting a parasocial relationship for the kingdom. That's turning a passive connection into spiritual action. But here's the key. To be really effective, you have to offer a clear invitation. Don't just post encouragement. Don't just tell stories. Ask them to take the next step. All right. You heard this morning, Joanne talk about asking. Did she say this phrase? I heard Jose say this once, specifically about her. Don't waste a perfectly good sermon by not asking for a decision. You just tilled up the soil. Man, ask. And there's lots of different ways to do it in person, and there's lots of different ways to do it online. But ask them to take a next step. Don't just assume they know what to do, because they don't. So there are 3 specific things that you can ask them to harvest these parasocial relationships evangelistically. First, invite them to make a positive change in their life. This could be an encouragement to change their mindset, to trust God, to be bold, to have patience, or to begin some spiritual discipline like prayer or devotional reading. For example, at the end of a video, if you want to go deeper, send me a DM with the word hope. And then you can actually set up automation where if somebody DMs you hope, it automatically responds with a little Bible study guide on hope. All right. But getting them to actually respond in a way that physical response, that mental response helps with their spiritual connection. Okay. The second, you can offer a free resource that will help them grow spiritually, like a Bible study guide, a prayer guide, magazine, a book. For example, click the link in my bio and I'll send you a free Bible study guide on such and such a topic. All right. And then the third is inviting the viewer to an encounter where there's a 2-way reciprocated relationship that can be established. It could be a computer mediated meeting like a Zoom Bible study. Or an in-person experience like an in-person Bible study, an evangelistic meeting, inviting them to church, inviting them to a community barbecue. For example, hey, join us in person this Saturday. We've got a seat saved for you. And as you're doing this content, as you're being present in their digital life, at the end of every video, just a quick asking them to do something. If you don't ask, they won't. So you got to ask. Be personal, be specific, and be ready. Because when someone takes that step, they're not walking in cold. They're walking in with a sense of connection that's already been planted and cultivated. And that's what I mean by harvesting a parasocial relationship. All right, let me show you 3 examples of some videos to show you what I mean. This is influencer Colby Meyer. This guy has millions of followers on YouTube and Instagram. Here's one of his videos.
Having faith doesn't mean I'm never afraid. Having faith means I move forward despite fear, knowing that God's got me wherever I go. Jesus said, in this world you will have many troubles, but take heart. for I have overcome the world. In other words, you're going to face trial. You're going to face opposition in life. You're going to face a lot of challenges that are going to come for you. And when you're faced with those challenges, those trials, those difficulties, and those fears, the Christian doesn't retreat. The Christian advances. The Christian says, even though these things look scary, I'm not going to allow them to bring me down, but I'm going to move forward in faith, believing that God is in my future, that God is paving the way, that God is making a way for me, that all the things that I can't see the outcome to right now, I don't need to be concerned about them because God has them. If you want to grow in your confidence in God and His Word, then get my free Bible reading plan. The link is in my bio.
All right. So I'm telling you, man, Colby speaks to me. Almost every one of his videos is just incredible. Former Adventist pastor. The first one that I showed you, Alex Portillo, he's an Adventist pastor down in the Vancouver area. These three are not Adventists. There's no, he has an Adventist background, but okay, that's Colby. Chad Hensley's next.
You know, one of the major issues of life is that we think because of social media, we're so close to people. You can hear so clearly. We think we know someone. We think we know them because we see them on social media, but we're only seeing a snapshot. This morning, no matter what weight you're carrying, no matter what burden you have, you think, man, I'm so close to these people on social media. I need that feedback from them. Come out and I see this beautiful sunrise. I mean, it is something else. Holy and healthy living is what this Jesus follower is all about. And I want you to go conquer your day so you can conquer your life. And what does that mean today? That means for some of us, we think we're so close to God. We're not that close. He's just secondary in our life. He says, I need you to draw near to me. For when you draw near to me, I will draw near to you. Are you going to allow the Lord to be the Lord of your life? Today, as this beautiful sunrise happens, ask yourself the question, how close am I really to the Lord? And do I want to get closer? See, I want to get closer today.
All right. And then the last one is Floyd Hughes.
All right, good morning and welcome to our Saturday Snapshot, where we tell you on Saturday what we're going to talk about on Sunday. And on Sunday, we're going to talk about a topic that no one wants to hear about. We're going to talk about how sin and obeying the culture instead of following after God, how it impacts families, how it impacts communities, and how it impacts the people of God. And it's not a good thing. But if you're interested in hearing how the people of God can overcome that, then join us Sunday morning, 10:37 a.m. And if you're unable to join us in person at Crossroads Community Church, then join us on the live stream at Crossroads Community Church of Jefferson Hills on our Facebook page. And if you're unable to join either one of those, join a Sunday celebration somewhere.
All right. I don't want to take the time to talk about this. If you go to Liberty University and you put in Witzel in the dissertation search, you can download my dissertation. There's a story, just an incredible story of Pastor Floyd Hughes. He's a TikToker. He posts more than once a day on TikTok. And there's a follower who connected with him, began engaging with him, and then showed up at his church. And the public record of how they connected and the in-person connection that happened as a result of the parasocial connection, it's just incredible. And I talk about that in the dissertation. I know nobody's going to download it, but I had to at least try it. Okay. Liberty University. If you search for Liberty University dissertations, and then there's a little search box, put in Witzel. There's not many Witzels in the world, and only one has a dissertation at Liberty University. So, okay, I want to start getting a little bit more practical here. We're about halfway through our time, a little over halfway. I want to make sure I'm leaving time for questions at the end. But let's talk about the most powerful tool that we have right now for building relationships, parasocial relationships at scale. And that's short form video on social media. So these are 30 to 90 second videos that are perfectly suited for platforms like Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels. I would suggest, depending on who you want to reach, if you want to hit Gen Z consistently, you got to be on TikTok. If you want to hit an older demographic, then you want to be consistently on Facebook. If you want to hit millennials and Gen Z in a more relaxed state, then Instagram Reels is the way to go. YouTube Shorts is the way to go. Instagram Reels is a little bit wider, but just spend time on each of these platforms and get to know who's on there. But if you want to reach older people, Facebook is where you want to do it. If you want to reach really young people, like teens and early 20s, TikTok is the place. Instagram and YouTube definitely skews younger. Like 40% of the viewing time, total viewing time, are people under the age of like 35. So that's a great way to reach younger people, and Instagram as well. Okay. This format might feel trendy or even superficial, but it's actually a perfect environment for connection because short form video is personal. It's one person with the direct address looking into the camera, talking to another person. It's frequent. You can easily produce multiple videos every week. And it's algorithmic. The platforms will push your content to new people, not just your followers. And if you're creating valuable content that people are connecting with, the algorithm will recognize that and push it to new people. So it's not just about growing your audience. It's about opening more hearts to the gospel. So how do you create compelling short form video content? Let me walk you through 5 proven tips that will help your videos to connect more deeply and effectively. So this is where we're going to be talking about the content, what you're actually saying in one of these videos. First, hook your audience and keep the message tight. In most platforms, people skip your content within 3 to 5 seconds. So you've got 5 seconds to say something that's going to grab their attention. Now, I'm not talking about clickbait. I'm not talking about being crazy and wild. I'm talking about what is your video about, and saying something that helps people recognize what it is and that they will see the value of what you're about to share with them. But that hook is really important. So some ways that you can start strong. Asking a question. Did you know that there's 5 things that even God doesn't know? I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I got your attention. Make a bold statement. Here's how to fix your spouse. Spiritually, of course. Okay? Lead with empathy. If you're feeling overwhelmed right now, I have a verse for you. All right? In all 3 of those cases, what you're about to share, you just introduced in a way that makes people go, okay, you got my attention, right? So starting with a hook, and then keep it tight. The one, Chad, was a little long. He didn't have a really tight script, but Chad, he was the one with the sunrise in the background. But that's kind of his thing. He does one every morning at sunrise. And I actually watched, over the course of a month, as I watched every one of these videos, I watched him actually improving and getting a little bit better. Cause practice makes perfect. You learn by failing. But the other 3, tight content, you're adding value with every word that you're speaking. So hook your audience and then keep the message tight. Get in, share value, and leave them wanting more. All right. Number 2, mix up the themes of your content. If all your videos are the same type, you're only going to reach a more narrow audience. You want to show a range of spiritual value that your church offers by rotating through different themes. So, for example, you could do something on Jesus love or gospel encouragement, offering hope and reassurance, no strings attached, just like the gospel. You could talk about Bible prophecy sometimes. Use curiosity to open the spiritual conversations. You don't want to overload with detail. Just give them a taste of what's there. But find one thing from Bible prophecy that's really interesting and drop that nugget. Personal growth. sharing biblical principles on topics like stress and Sabbath rest and finances and relationships. I'll tell you, man, dropping content on Friday about Sabbath rest and doing that on a fairly regular basis, you are going to impact some people's lives. And I'm not talking about doctrinally, not talking about, well, you know, the Sabbath was never changed. That was the Catholic Church. Who cares? But to say, if you're feeling overwhelmed, God gave us a gift where you just pause and reset. And here's how it's changed my life. That's the kind of thing, talking about something that can actually have practical application. And then prayer, looking in the camera, offer a 30-second prayer of blessing for the people that are watching. You're not just producing content, you're ministering to their needs. All right. And then I already mentioned this, but the third one is create content that adds value. People go to social media for entertainment, but they stay for value. Ask yourself, how does this video help someone live better, think deeper, or feel seen? All right. And so a few creative formats to try. You could do like a daily walk. You could share a relatable struggle and how walking with Jesus makes a difference for you personally. You could do visualized prophecy, use artwork or imagery to make apocalyptic themes more accessible and compelling. You could do a weekly memory verse, give one verse with a personal application and encouragement. The goal is to offer bite-sized truth that makes a spiritual difference in people's lives. All right. So adding value, thinking about what is the need that they feel and then meeting that felt need. Number 4, using self-disclosure to foster trust. We talked about it earlier. Self-disclosure is key to building parasocial connection. That means sharing your own experiences, failures, doubts, victories, lessons. You want to keep it relevant to your message and be authentic, not performative. You want to be authentic. And then be mindful of boundaries. Vulnerability is powerful, but it should always serve the viewer, not distract from the message. Here's the bottom line. When you're real, people will listen. When you're vulnerable, people will trust. And when you're consistent, people will follow. All right. And then number 5, include a call to action. Not every video, this is the last bullet point on this slide. Not every video needs, I lied. There's one more. Not every video needs a call to action, but a lot of them should. You should probably, this is just, I can't think of any research that supports this, but I think probably 2 out of 3 videos should have a call to action of some sort. You don't need to do it every time. But it doesn't have to be complex. Just offer a simple next step, for the viewer's journey. So, for example, there's more to the story in the Bible. If you'd like a free Bible, click the link and I'll send you one. Want to learn more? I've got a free Bible study for you. Just click the link below. If you'd like prayer, I'd love to pray for you. Put prayer in the comments, and so I'll know to pray for you. We've got an event coming up. I'm excited about it. You can pre-register using the link below. Those are all things, all the types of calls to action that you can do. The key is to make it personal, relevant, and simple. Calls to action, you don't want them to be complicated. You want it to be clear what they're, especially on social media. Remember, a lot of these people are going to see your video while they're in a trance-like state as they're going from one video to the next. And there are things that you can do with your hook to arrest them out of that state. There are things that you can do with the call to action to help them stop and reflect on something and actually begin to make a change in their lives. All right. You're not selling anything. You're offering a spiritual opportunity. So do these five things. Hook people fast. Keep the message tight. Rotate your themes. Add real value. Be vulnerable and authentic with self-disclosure, and invite people to take a next step. You don't need a production team. You need a phone, a message, and a willingness to start. So let's talk about recording. Actually hitting that red button and capturing your message on camera. Now, this is where a lot of people start to feel nervous, and you're not alone. So I want to break this down. first of all, I want to say the first video that you make is going to stink. That's a good word. It's going to be terrible. The second one's going to be a little bit better. The third one's going to be even better. One of the difficulties, I want to talk to the pastors in the room especially. Chronic affirmation deficit, I'm going to mention it tonight in the presentation, is where you have more negative interactions and criticisms in your life than you have affirmations. And that leads to be risk averse. And when we ask you to actually pick up the phone and record, you see immediate, visible evidence of how bad you are at this. All right? Which is why the coaching that we're going to be talking about, that's why the coaching was so important, right? Because having somebody that says, hey, that's a great start. And here's what was good in there. And now let's work on this next, right? Because the only way to learn is when you fail to figure it out, pick yourself up, do it again, over and over and over again. It's probably going to take you, I mean, if you do it without anybody's help, it's going to take you 30 videos to really start to feel confident and actually have some decent content that you're doing. With coaching, we've seen that accelerate quite a bit. But okay, so let's talk about the actual, like, physically recording. The first thing we're going to talk about is your camera. One of the things that just kills me, I have pastors come up to me all the time. They're like, hey, we want to start this media ministry. We just spent $10,000 on video gear. It's like, why did you start there? You don't need $10,000. Your phone has a better camera back here than a $2,000 camera from 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, this camera is more than adequate for what you're going to be doing. So if you've got an iPhone or an Android that's less than 5 years old, it's more than adequate. But here's the trick. Use the back-facing camera, not the front-facing one. The back-facing camera, it's higher resolution, better color, faster, more accurate autofocus. It just looks better. And then the other thing is mount your phone. Don't hold it. Don't hold it. Mount it. Pull out your, get a little tripod. Let's see if I got mine in here. Yeah. This is a selfie stick. Don't use a selfie stick because all that does is makes it even more shaky. But this also, it has a tripod. So mounting it on your desk and then talking to it and you're good. Something else that you can do, if you're, I'm talking to a bunch of people in the Pacific Northwest, so I don't know why I'm saying this. If you live in a sunny part of the country,
we have sunny days.
You can get one of those glass suction cup holders, like for cars, and stick it on a plate glass window. The light washing in is going to look really good. And it mounts it and it's right there. That's the quickest and easiest way to set up to record videos. Okay. But, mount it, mount your camera. Don't hold it. And then, get it eye level. So you're looking, some people like it just a touch above, but definitely not below. You don't want the camera looking up your nostrils. So, and don't walk and talk unless you actually have the gear to be able to pull that off. Just mount your camera, start recording. I'm thinking about this. I don't know if Floyd's was mounted, but the other 3 guys, the samples that I showed, they mounted their cameras. Okay. Second thing to think about is lighting. Lighting makes a huge difference. The visuals are part of your message. And so, and it's really interesting. If you are presenting with a television voice in a studio lit, background and it just looks like a professional production, it is not going to feel authentic and it's actually detrimental to your message. On the other hand, you do want to make sure that you're lit well enough. And this is where using using the light from a window. Harsh lighting looks scary. Backlighting gives you a silhouette. You want warm, clear, friendly. They can see your face. They can see your eyes looking into the camera. Natural light is great facing a window. Avoid overhead lights. These are not bad because it's diffused, but if this was like a home light or a chandelier and I was standing right underneath it, you got terrible shadows there. Just think about it. Also, so getting a ring light, is a great way to do it because you can, the ring light reduces those harsh shadows. And you can get a ring light for like $40 that has it's got a tripod and a mount for your camera right in the middle of it. Now, the one thing to pay attention to is reflections. If you wear glasses, I can't actually record using a ring light because then you see the circles right on my glasses. So when I record, my lights are up higher and then I actually pay attention. I don't do this. So I'm looking right in the camera. So pay attention to the reflections if you wear glasses, adjust the angle, raise the light or whatever. Okay. Audio. This is, if you're going to pay money for something, you need to get a mic. Your phone's mic is not good enough. People will tolerate shaky video. They'll tolerate bad video. They won't tolerate bad sound. If you're trying to talk to somebody, they need to hear you clearly. So if you're going to spend money anywhere, start with your microphone. Use an external mic. I actually have, I carry this with me everywhere I go. I didn't even think about the fact that I could pull this out. This is a mic. It's actually got a mic right on it. I can clip it on. And then it's wireless. So that goes into the end of my camera and, it's decent. I also have, a lapel that I can plug into it. So I could wear a lapel mic. I think that this set, there's 2 mics in it. So you could do an interview with it. I don't know. This is like $150. You can spend $30 on a decent wired mic. Reduces some of your flexibility because you're tethered to something, but, get a mic, get a good mic. And this is actually one where if you're recording in your office and you can afford a Shure, what is it? It's SM7B or whatever. Yeah. Is that what it is, Dry? It's that podcaster's mic. It's about $400. It sounds glorious. And you can do it where it's just out of the frame. So it's still picking up really well. Better audio. People are not going to feel like your audio is too good and therefore you're just, not authentic. The video you could, but audio, your mic is going to be great.
Yeah, what mic were you talking about? What's the brand there?
Shure. And it's the SM7B.
The one you had. No, the one right
now. Oh, this one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I found this on Amazon. This is Comica. 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 But there's a bazillion different brands. Buy it quickly. It's imported. Yeah. Okay. But we're not talking about that. Okay. For some of the videos that I do, I actually use a shotgun mic that sits down below out of the frame. So there's lots of different options. Check your sound before recording. You want to be watching for background noise, wind, echo. If you were recording in your kitchen, you want to get some textiles in there to reduce the echoes. If you do it in your office and you've got a bookshelf behind you, that's going to help reduce the echo. If you've got a carpet, that's good. Close the drapes, just to reduce the echo. Too soft is unusable. Too loud will distort. So check your levels, set your levels right. So do a test recording and then just check it. Use headphones to listen to it. Okay. Enough about, audio. And technically, I'm supposed to be done in 5 minutes, but we're going to go long. Okay. preparation. Good video is going to start with preparation. There are three main approaches that you can take with your content. One is a teleprompter. If you have a full script, you can read it. And there's apps for your phone. Now, you'd have to use a front-facing camera, which is not going to be as good, but in some cases, that trade-off is appropriate. It's great for well-polished scripts, but it takes a lot of practice for reading a teleprompter to feel natural. The second is memorizing the script, or you don't have to memorize the whole script. This is something that Alex Portillo does. He writes out his script, and then he looks at the script, he rehearses one line, and then he talks into the camera that line, and he does it 3 or 4 times, and then he goes to the next one, and then so it's tightly scripted, and then he cuts it together, and there's a style where there's jump cuts and stuff, and zoom in and all this stuff. But that's how he does it. The way that pastors should do this is a bullet point. Write 3 points on a sticky note, put it on the back of your camera with the back-facing camera, and then just talk through your points. If you know your stuff, you can just talk through it. And take 3 takes, and then just use the best one. What you don't want to do is take 10 or 12 or 20 takes. They're just, after 3, you're not going to get any better than what you got. But Hiram Rester talks about, before he records, he'll walk around and practice it and just vocalize it, say it out loud, and then get in front of the camera and he'll do his 3 takes, and then what you get is what you get. So choose a method that fits your style. The more prepared you are, the more confident and natural you're going to be. So preparation is important. If you're a preaching pastor, leverage your sermon preparation. You've already done 95% of the work toward creating excellent content. You've taken the ancient scripture, you've applied it to a real life situation, you've done the exegesis, you've prayed about it, and then you deliver your sermon, and that's the end of it. No, take your 3 key bullet points, or however you have it structured. Take 3 ideas and take an extra half an hour and record 3 videos with direct eye contact. And I mean, all the preparation work's already done. Okay, presentation. This is how you actually show up on camera. Don't preach, don't read. You're not performing. Just talk like you're having a heartfelt conversation with a friend. Make eye contact with the camera lens, natural gestures, smile, 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 smile. Put on a bigger smile than you feel is appropriate. Let's talk about authenticity. Authenticity, you can't act on camera the way that you do off camera. What you want is for your on-camera persona to appear to be the same as your off-camera persona. But that does require more energy. And so a bigger smile, bigger engagement. And when you smile, did you hear that? How I just realized I haven't been smiling. Did you hear the change in tone in my voice as soon as I opened my mouth in a smile? People can hear it when you smile, and it's so much more engaging. People want to be connecting with people who are smiling. There's not enough smiles in this world. Coca-Cola did get that one right. Okay. The next section is talking about consistency workflow. So the hardest part of this whole process is doing it consistently. That's the hardest part. You can work really hard and record 3 or 4 videos, but it's not about writing the scripts. It's not setting up your camera. It's not editing. It's showing up week after week after week after week without burning out. And if you want to be a digital missionary, if you want to be that spiritual voice in somebody's social media feed, you have to be present. You can't just post 1 or 2 videos. You got to do it every week. And this has to become part of your weekly rhythm. Now, the way that you can do that sustainably is through a workflow. A workflow is just an organized series of steps that helps you create content efficiently with minimal stress. It turns random inspiration into repeatable execution. Here, let me give you just some ideas of what you need to be paying attention to in your workflow. If you want to post 3 or 4 times a week, you start by picking your themes. So you want to plan. You might rotate through gospel encouragement, Bible prophecy. We talked about that. Personal growth, prayer. Pull nuggets from your sermon. Leverage your sermon prep. Now, you can write out your ideas for the week, just a few sentences. Okay, whatever works for you. Plan your content. Number 2, record your content. Once you got your scripts or your bullet points or whatever, it's time to record. Mount your phone, set up your light, check your audio levels. You can record multiple videos in one session. You don't have to do it one at a time. And especially if there's a little bit of effort required in setting up your studio, ganging up multiple videos is going to be really important. Batching is a game changer. You're already dressed. The light's already on. You're mic'd up, so take advantage of it. You can record 3, 4, 6 videos in a row. If you want it to look like you're sequencing them out, you could change your shirt, change just so that way there's a slightly different look each time. But you can record multiple videos. You can record multiple weeks. One of the things I actually have run across a bunch of videos from social media influencers where they talk about how they do a month's worth of content in an afternoon. And they'll go out and they'll actually go out and shoot, and they bring, so they're posting 3 times a week. That's 12 videos, and they're actually just get it done in an afternoon. The Ministry Insights podcast. I have a podcast that comes out every week, every Monday morning. And they're 8 to 10 minute episodes. I record a month's worth of 4 or 5 episodes all at once in an afternoon. So gain up. Okay. Then editing, pull all your videos into editing software, post. And then it's about posting and scheduling your content, uploading them, making sure that you've got the appropriate keywords, your description, all that stuff, your thumbnail. So you don't need to post every day, but you do need to be consistent, whatever you do.
What editing software?
So there's a bazillion options. Most social media influencers shoot on their phone and edit actually on a MacBook. And so they'll use DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro. Those are the 3 main desktop editing softwares. If you're going to put effort into it, I would learn Adobe Premiere. That's cross-platform. DaVinci Resolve is also cross-platform.
And free.
Resolve, the basic version of Resolve is free, yes. But if you want to do everything on your phone, there's dozens of different options. Does somebody know? There's one that was like by TikTok. CapCut. Yeah, CapCut. You could take a look at that if you just want to do it on your phone. Okay, and then use checklists. I've got let me jump ahead. Checklists. Let me show you some of my own checklists. So this is for Ministry Insights. I have 12 items that I try every episode. I want to hit something from every one of these. And so this is my content rubric. It's about relevance, insight, and authority. And I actually have a custom GPT in ChatGPT that I've built that helps me do this. And I'll work on a script and then I'll ask it, what's my RIA score? And I'll come back and say, oh, you're at 10.5. Would you like to add a personal story in order to increase your score? So that's one checklist. And then I've got a recording checklist. This is for setting up my studio in my office. Close the drape, turn on the studio lights, turn off the fluorescent lights, all these things. And where do these items come from? Almost always, oops. That looked terrible. How can I fix this? Oh, let me, literally, I actually figured this out before I shot the first video, but I installed drapes. I have a window that goes out into the outside area, and there's a picture behind me and it was reflecting off of it. So yeah, so just, I forgot to change the large ring light to the lowest setting. Okay, let's make sure that we do that every time. Swinging, there's one that's like it's highlighted because I always forget this. That's swinging the chair out of the shot because I record in my office. And when I'm sitting at my desk, if I just stand up and go to my stool, the chair's in the shot. So I got to make sure that I swing it around. Yes.
Could you give us a prompt that you use for your GPT?
It took me months to build. I created a custom GPT. Here's how I did that. You know what? Go to Ernesto's AI presentation. I don't remember when it is. I know it's not happening right now, so you have an opportunity. He'll talk about it. But I created a custom GPT and I just said, this is what I want to do. Here's who I want to reach. This is the approach I want to take. I uploaded 30 of my own scripts and said, now do you know what my voice is like? And I just kept building it and then it would output something. I'm like, no, I don't like that. Next time, do it like this. So it's just a matter of when it comes to AI, talk to it like you're teaching an assistant to do your job for you. Get that into your mind. And I taught ChatGPT, this custom GPT, as if I had a writer that was working for me. And I just said, okay, next time, make sure you do it this way. Okay, got it. Okay. All right. Then I've got my camera setup. So make sure that I do all these different things when I do my camera setup. One's in bold. Erase your CFast card. That's the memory card. Why is that in bold? Because there was one afternoon where I recorded everything twice. The first time the card was full and I didn't notice that the little red light went off. That was a pain. And then I've got recording. So this is for the Propel podcast. When I record the intro and outro for the Propel podcast, make sure that snooze Slack. So I just do these things. These are all checklists of my own. Okay. That's consistent. Let me talk about Real Faith Boot Camp. If you're feeling completely overwhelmed at this point, we can help you. Can I get a witness? Yeah. All right. We have a service that will help you get started posting content for social media. It's called Real Faith Boot Camp specifically. This is a 6-week hands-on coaching program designed specifically for pastors and ministry leaders that want to get started building a video presence without getting buried in all the tech. You record your videos using your phone, like what we talked about, and then you send them in, and then we handle everything else, all the technical details. And I mean everything: editing, color correction, sound mixing, adding music, lower thirds, captions, thumbnails, rendering for each platform, uploading. We handle all of that. So it's $9.95 is the current price for a 6-week boot camp. It allows you to focus on the message, and the coaching is phenomenal. Our video coaches, you have a weekly call where you'll send your video in early. The coach will review it and then talk you through, okay, next time, this is great. Next time, let's work on this thing. And then the next week, you did really good with this. Now let's work on this. It keeps you focused on the two things that are really important that only you can do: creating the content and recording it. And then we handle everything else. Okay. We've covered a lot today. Realfaith.com is where you can learn more about it. Let me go back and put, realfaith.com. All right. We've talked about a lot. I have a summary here. I'm just going to skip. Anybody, I've got, this is going to turn into a 90-minute presentation. My editors are going to love this. We got 3 minutes for questions. Yes.
Copyright.
Be more specific about that question. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So, music, every social media platform has a music library that you can use. And so if you use their music library, then you have permission to use it because they have licensing deals for their platform. But just because it's available on TikTok doesn't mean that it's available on Instagram. So sometimes you have to change the music. But you can also, Envato Elements. There's a nonprofit annual deal. It's a subscription service that gives you access to all kinds of different stuff. It's like $150 a year. And it's got a huge music library. It's got sound effects. It's got editing templates. It's got stock photography. It's got stock video that you can use. Envato Elements is a great. We use that at my church. Envato, Envato. And I'm guessing if you spelled it wrong, Google would still recognize what you're trying to do. If you say Envato Elements, however you spell it. So you need to don't use music that you don't have permission to use, because YouTube, there are rights holders software that's scouring the internet listening for the digital signature of their music and will automatically request YouTube to pull it down or to monetize it. Maybe you don't want to have advertising surrounding your YouTube videos, but if you're using somebody else's copyrighted music, they can say, you know what, go ahead and use it, but we want the revenue from that. And then all of a sudden ads are running on your thing and they're getting all the revenue from it. So, but they can also send a takedown notice. And if you're not careful, like if you use a Disney song, that you'll get a copyright strike and you get like 3 strikes and then you're off the platform. So you want to be careful. Make sure that you have permission to use whatever graphics, sound effects, music. Make sure you have permission to use it. Yes. Hey, let's go there.
Best way to monitor your video if you're using the back camera, because you can't see yourself.
Yeah. So 2 things: record in 4K, not 1080p, and then set it up, record it, check it, make sure you sit in the same spot. And if you're off by a little bit because you recorded in 4K and you're going to be uploading in 1080p, you can actually zoom in, center it up a little bit in the editing process, and you don't lose any quality by doing that.
On the copyright stuff, in Ernesto's class, he was talking about just getting a AI subscription, like Suno or something like that, so where you can actually take the songs and put them on your YouTube channel.
Yep. Definitely encourage you to go to. I mean, a lot of you guys are from Washington Conference. You know Ernesto. If you're not and you want to learn about AI, go to his class. Yes.
What up the way to use your back camera is put a mirror?
Oh yeah. You could do that. It's a little bit of extra setup. I think after a while you'll just get more confident that if I set the camera here and I sit here, then it's gonna look good. Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to give a shout out to Real Faith. I was a student. I'm from Arizona Conference. I'm a pastor. I want to check out this digital evangelism concept. We do all the typical stuff that Adventists do. And I tried it out. I did the 6-week boot camp. My conference helped pay for some of our churches to do it. I will tell you something. You need to do it because I'm getting regular visits now in my church. I just had a baptism. It was 12 baptisms. But some of those people, they saw us online.
Amen.
And we get a regular, so I had to learn how to do this, man. I make every mistake on the book. Make sure you put your phone, if you do your phone, put the airport thing on. Because here's how it works. You start recording and someone makes a call to you.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I'm already on take 4. But I would say if you're thinking about doing this seriously, check it out, learn how it works first, and then they teach you what you need to do. Then you can start to pick it up on your own. And it took me some time. I mean, here we are in May. I did this back in October, but I'm seeing results now. So.
Awesome. Let me skip through this because we don't need, I don't, you know what they say, tell you what you're going to tell them, then tell them, and then tell them what you told them. You don't get to hear what I told you. Here's the truth. You can be a social media influencer for Jesus. You just have to be faithful. You have to show up. You have to be consistent. You have to trust the Holy Spirit. If the Holy Spirit is prompting you to do this, then he's going to empower you to do it and in a powerful way, not just do it, but to do it in a way that it uses your presence, your voice, and your message to open hearts. Here's the truth. You're somebody's favorite pastor. They just don't know it yet. because you're not online yet. All right. They're out there. They're scrolling. They're searching. They're anxious. They're isolated. They're spiritually hungry. And maybe your next video is just the nudge that they need. So get out there and do it, guys. Parasocial evangelism isn't the whole message, but it might be that first step that gets someone to do the rest. So I just want to leave you with this. Don't wait for them to come to you. Go to them. Get in their feed, on their screen, in their world. And then when they finally walk through your church doors, they'll say what I've heard over and over again. I already feel like I know you. All right. That's the power of parasocial evangelism. All right. Pray with me. Lord, this is a lot of stuff today. And I just pray that you will distill this for each man and woman in this room, the one thing that they need to take from today's presentation, that you will speak to them, the one thing, the big idea for them. But most of all, Lord, we want you to come. We want you to come back. We want to go home with you. So please empower us, infuse us with your purpose. Give us your creativity that you designed us with to be able to get out there and build these parasocial connections with people in the community. I pray that it results in a huge harvest for your kingdom. I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Reflection is a big part of the Propel Conference. So before we move on, I just want you to take a moment and think about what stood out in this presentation for you. What was the big idea? When the episode ends, please pause for 5 or 10, 15 minutes and just let your thoughts wander. It's a simple habit that can be surprisingly powerful and can lead to real breakthroughs in your ministry. So turn off that podcast, the audio player, and just let your mind wander once this episode is finished. And as it turns out, that's it for this episode. We'd love to hear from you. You can send an email to podcast@propelconference.org. And please mark your calendar for next year's Propel Conference coming to Silver Spring, Maryland, April 12 to 15, 2026. Registration is now open at propelconference.org, and we would love to see you there. Special thanks to Adventist Learning Community for sponsoring this episode. This has been the Propel Podcast, inspiration and innovation to grow your church. The Propel Podcast is produced by the Sermon View crew, and the event recording services were provided by Adventist Learning Community. I'm Larry Witzel, wishing you God's richest blessing in your own evangelistic journey. Please join us again next time for another episode of the Propel Podcast.